We are going to be going over watch tours and how they should be run and how you should be running them. TCI Standard 1400-01-.16 on supervision of inmates. Number 2 states all inmates shall be personally observed by a facility employee at least once every hour on an irregular schedule. More frequent observations shall be provided for inmates who are violent, suicidal, mentally ill, intoxicated, and for inmates with other special problems or needs. The time of all such checks shall be logged as well as the results. If you look into our policy, it's under Bravo Charlie 032, and it states word for word what the state standards are as far as our policy goes. Watch tours are a life safety issue within the jail. Here's what we're checking for during a watch tour. Is the inmate alive and unharmed? What does the pod or cell look like? Are there any security problems or maintenance problems that need to be taken care of quickly? Are the inmates abiding by the rules of the facility? All inmates, and I mean all inmates, are to be checked a minimum of once an hour unless they are set up for more frequent observations. In other words, our special watches, such as suicide, detox, mental health, or medical health watches. If watch tours are late, there are several things that can happen to us. 1, we fail the inspection, plain and simple. That means we become decertified. 2, an inmate could get hurt because we were late, we didn't catch it, and then we would get sued, possibility. You're going to go over how you should perform a watch tour. Check the time when you start your tour. You enter a pod. If it's a cell pod, you're going to go to every cell. Check on the inmates inside the cell. Make sure they are breathing. If in doubt, enter the cell or bang on it to get their attention. A note of caution here, never enter a cell unless you have a partner with you. Check all doors for security and that they are working. Make sure they're secure, that they're locked. Check for things that are against policy, such as the lights being covered, etc. You then go to the next pod. If it's an open pod, ensure you check all the inmates are okay. Remember, you're checking for living, breathing inmates. If you can't tell from a distance, go to that bunk and check on them. For both the sealed and open pods, if you see an injury, bruises on an inmate, etc., that you have not seen before, report it. If an inmate is acting odd or different than their usual way, report it. You never know when something might be going on. These are things we're supposed to be looking for. I'm now going to go over the watch tour form. This is the top section. Of course, we're going to date it. This one's dated 6/1/24. This will be 5th shift. Jones and Winston are the officers covering this section, and the supervisor's name is Baker. They're covering the North Housing Unit male section. We then go down to the middle of the page. First of all, you're going to put, for the last log time by the previous shift, 0538. Do not just put a number in here. Make sure it is the last date. Trust me, TCI checks. Then you're going to put in your first tour, when that tour ended, and the pods that you checked. Next, all inmates observed and appear secure. You're going to put yes or no. If you ever enter a no, you have to place a reason as to why. On this particular one, it is yes, and then Officer Jones is the one that checked it. Next tour was done at 7:02, completed at 7:21. Again, checked JKLM. Everybody was observed and appeared secured. Again, Jones was the one that did it. At 07:59 was the next tour. Completed at 8:20. JKLM were checked. We have a no. We'll go more into that in just a minute when we get to the bottom of the page. Jones again was the officer that did the tour. The next tour was not done until 9:30. We now have a problem. We are late. This particular tour was completed at 9:53. Again, all the cells were done and everybody appeared okay and secure, and this was done by Deputy Winston. We're now at the bottom of the page and we're in the area where the supervisor is going to sign off. It states, when the supervisor signs it off, he's stating this: I have reviewed the tours above. Any discrepancies found will have notes below or paperwork attached explaining why a tour was late. They're going to sign their name. They're going to date it. And the block beneath it, it says all tours over 60 minutes must have notes written here or a report as to why the tour was late and what, if any, actions were taken. Inmate Watson in J235, door was unsecured, found items stuck to door which kept it from locking. Did write up on inmate Deputy Jones. So that explains why we had that no up there above. We also have Deputy Watson putting in here why he was late. I was late on tour because of a situation in C-Pod due to inmate on inmate attack. Report submitted, Deputy Winston. Lastly, we have a write-in on what was going on by the supervisor. It says, I reviewed Deputy Jones' report on inmate Watson and verified that Deputy Winston was helping in C-Pod, causing him to be late for his tour. Okay. He then goes into why he was late for the tour. We were low, 2 men on manpower, and therefore all male officers were needed. And then Sergeant Baker put his name there. And that's the watch tour form. There are directions at the very bottom of it. On open bay pods, officers shall enter these pods and check both levels. That means you're going to go to the top level. If there are any items such as blankets or clothing hanging and blocking staff view of the inmates, they shall remove them from the pod if the inmate has over the allotted number of items they're supposed to have. The officer shall get the name of the inmate and put a note in the inmate's file of what was taken. In cell pod, officers shall enter the pod and check each cell on both levels. Officers shall check each cell. If there are items blocking view of the inmate, staff will enter the cell. Remember, have a partner with you to remove them as in an open pod or bay. Must be 2 officers or more present to enter a cell. The officer shall get the name of the inmates and put a note in the inmate's file of what was taken. If late for a watch tour, it must be justified as to why. Sergeants shall do a minimum of 1 watch tour with staff in South Housing Unit, North Housing Unit, and the booking hour. It will be noted in the log below and shift notes. If the sergeant is not present, the corporal shall do it. The tower operator shall enter when the watch tours have started. A second entry will be made when informed the tour is completed for each different section. Administrative staff shall review videos on random dates to ensure checks are being done. Compliance, it will check them on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. If you have any questions on how to do a proper watch tour, get with training.